Hi, my friends. This is Lada from astrolada.com, and today I decided to make a video about how to predict powerful new beginnings in your life with easy astrological techniques. And I'll give you a lot of information here. I haven't done such a video for quite some time. A lot of you asked me to start doing those tutorials again. So I'm going to show you very tested and tried astrological techniques that have proven over the last 12, 13 years that I've been doing astrology to always indicate, at least for 70% of the people that go through this, some important new beginning in life. And they're going to be very easy, even if you don't know astrology. If you follow the techniques and the steps that I outlined here, you can find out the timing of such events and even go back into the past and check the periods of your time when you had a big new beginning. Was it relocation? Was it the start of a new job? Was it passing of a relative or a parent? Was it the end of a marriage, the start of a marriage, the start of a new relationship? There are lots of new beginnings in life. I mean, possibly the most memorable will be one or two in your life when you met your spouse or when you started your career, but there are constantly, almost every few years, a few new big beginnings, like a new career, or you can have three new beginnings in one year. You can relocate, get married, and a relative might pass away, because all of those indicate a new chapter of your life. Or you might not have any new beginning for about 6-7 years, and you feel like you're stuck and you're waiting for something new to happen, and you're getting desperate. So I'm going to show you now how, with astrology, if you know your time of birth, of course, this is very important for those techniques to work. How you can see and you can time and you can look forward to such new beginnings, and how you can see the past and see how things are timed in our life, guys. How there is a higher power above us. That is kind of all the fated events are indicated in the horoscope. Possibly not to the smallest detail, but at least who we're going to meet, or that we're going to relocate to a new place, or that we're going to start a career that's life defining. Those things are indicated astrologically. And this can give us a peace of mind that, some benevolent power is leading us in the right direction, even if some of those new beginnings are painful. Eventually, they lead us to better and fuller fulfillment, and there for the growth of our soul. So this kind of gives you a little bit of a respite that not everything is in your responsibility. Well, it's your responsibility when those opportunities come for you to make and to give the best of yourself, but the results of those and where they take you and when they're presented to you, it's kind of guided towards us by a benevolent higher power. Okay, so you might have to rewind that video, you might have to stop it and start it so you don't miss important details, because it's going to be a lot of concentrated astrological information here. Uh, and you will, if you don't understand something, just rewind it, watch it again, and you can, you know, the information will become easier and easier the more you watch that video. Sorry, a little bit. The my laptop might be shaking a little bit because I don't have conditions now to record. I had to deconstruct my studio because there is a baby in each bedroom now sleeping, and a grandmother in the other free bedroom that was my studio. So kind of I'm using whatever resources I have now. So it's not like I don't have the board behind me to show you, but I'll be showing you from a share screen. So, how do you do that? You don't have astrological software. Possibly a lot of you're new to astrology. How do you find new beginnings? And the first techniques I'm going to give you, we're going to go through progressions and solar return charts. They're the ones that really mark powerful new beginnings. And the later techniques, almost for everyone that I've seen, they mark such a big, important new chapter in their life. Those first few techniques I'm going to give you. And the later ones, the transits, 70% of people, 60% of people go through new beginnings when those transits happen. So they usually accompany those early techniques I'm going to give you, those more powerful ones when something really big happens in your life. Transits plus progressions or solar arcs or solar returns are active. So I know it might sound like nothing familiar to you now, but bear with me. You don't need to know astrological terms. So what do you need to do? Let me share my screen. And I'm going to give you as an example my chart because I know it the best. So here we go. Go to astro.com. There is a free software. I hope you can see my screen now. Astro.com is the website that has all the charts you can generate for free. Of course, if you have an astrology software, it will be easier. But if you don't, you have all the resources for free. And go to free horoscopes and go to extended chart selection. You might have to rewind this again so you can see, follow the steps. And I already have people inputted here. I'm going to select my name, or you might have to enter your details, but you need to know your time of birth. The time of birth is very correct, at least within 4 or 5 minutes. And here I am, I'm choosing ladder, and I'm going to choose from the chart type here what chart I want. The first one, I'm going to give you as an example is the progress chart. So I'm going to choose here natal and progress chart. You see from the drop down menu in the chart type, go here, natal chart and progressions combined. And I'm selecting it. And I already know this technique that I want to tell you about is about when there is a new progress moon in your progress chart. This indicates a powerful new beginning in your life. And I'll show you how it's going to look. I went back, and for me, it was the year 2001. You might have to go here. You can change which year it is. You might start going through year to see, or forward or backwards, when there will be a new progress moon in your horoscope. Because that's what is a progress moon. This is when the sun and the moon are together in your horoscope. They join together a certain year in your life, and the 12 months before that and the 12 months after that, basically for almost 2 years around that period, when you are in the middle of a progress new moon, a new powerful beginning will start for you. So for me, I went one by one, and through the years, and of course I came to 2001 when I had a progress new moon in my chart. So click here to show chart, and this is what you're going to see. This is your birth chart. The greens here, everything in green. The red ones are the transits. Don't pay attention to them for now. Just any planets in the green are indicative of your progress planets. And you are looking to see a chart when the sun and moon are together. This is the symbol of the moon. Can you see it here? Moon, half moon, and the sun is a circle with a dot. So the year when those two green ones, the sun and the moon, are together within 12 degrees, each of those little pegs is basically month, symbolizes a month. So when the moon is 12 degrees before the progress sun and 12 degrees after, this is when the most powerful, because this is a new moon phase. And what is a progress chart? This is how the planets were moving, one every day after your birth. 1 day equals 1 year. And you see, if I was born in April 2081, sorry, 14th of April, the progressions are for for 3rd of May. On the 3rd of May, 1981, there was a new moon. And this equals my 20, what year? 14th of April, my 19th year, actually approximately around that time. 18th and 19th year, 14 plus another 16 days plus 3 days, yes, 19 years. So basically, 19 days after I was born, there was a new moon. This corresponds to the 19th year in my life, which is the year 2001. And there was a new moon then. And actually, the whole previous 12 months and the 12 months after that, it's active. New stage, mother and father joined together. What did happen then? I relocated. I left at the age of 19, Bulgaria, my place of safety, and relocated to a new country. Powerful new beginning. If that's not a new beginning, what is it? And it's happening in the 3rd house, according to Plasta's house system. You can see here it corresponds with the 3rd house, which is for relocation. Powerful new beginnings for moving, relocation. And in if you use equal house systems, it happens in the 4th house. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4th sign from the ascendant, which means place of living, change of home, new beginning in place of living. So both systems work, whether it's the 3rd house, which is moving, or the 4th house, which is a change of place of living, and powerful new beginning happened there. So do go back, enter your details, choose different years, click around to see which year you're going to have progress, new moon in your life. And actually, the next, let me show you the chart again. The phase of the progress new moon, as I said, is most intense 12 months before the exact conjunction. For me, the exact conjunction happened sometimes in 2001, but the previous 12 months, the next 12 months, new beginnings. And you can often 2 3 years before that, the moon is in a waning phase, very close to the sun. The moon moves 1 degree each month. So basically, it passes, progress moon passes one sign for 2 years and a little bit longer. You know, so the 2 years before that, before this conjunction, even 3 years before that, sometimes you might feel at a loss. You might feel like something is ending in your life. So imagine if my sun is here and the moon is somewhere here. Let me go back to show you. So let me return, for example, a couple of years earlier. Here, show chart. You see how the moon is just coming to the sun. It's going to take it 2 years to get to the sun approximately. We're looking only at the green stuff. Remember, the green planets, these are progress ones. So when the moon is approximately like that in this area before the sun in a progress chart, whoops, you might feel a bit lost. You might feel like you don't know what you want because you're completing a big phase in your life. You're in a dark moon phase. And that means that even your kind of if you try to start something new while the moon is in this phase here before the sun, maybe a sign and a half before the sun, it might be very hard to start something new because you don't have the inspirations. The inspirations come when the sun and the moon are together in the next 3 years after that, because the moon starts growing and becomes visible 2 years after that, approximately 2 years. And this is when you're going to start seeing the results of those new ideas that came to you 2 3 years before, when the moon starts moving away from the sun. So basically 2 3 years after that, and you're going to start those those new ideas come all the time from when the moon is about 12 degrees before the sun, which is a year before that. And after that, when it's up to here, basically, which would be like a sign and a half, which would be the next 3 years. So when you see a year like for me, 2001, when there was a new moon, progress new moon, the next 3.5 years and the previous 12 months are pivotal for the ideas to emerge, to put you on a new path in life. And you don't have to rush before that. If you're still with your moon before, like here before the sun, it's hard to push someone. It's hard to motivate yourself even. When the moon is dark in the progress chart, first of all, you don't have motivation. Second of all, the new ideas are not coming yet. And even if they come, it's still not time. The insemination has not happened when the moon joins the sun, and it can be just, they might be just in your head and you might not be able to manifest them. So you might feel like, especially people in the Western society, that we're so driven to success, that we're so that our measure of success is measured by the outwardly achievements that we have in our world. We might feel quite down emotionally during this period because we're not able to manifest so much, or we're not able to start something new so much. So we might feel like, oh, the strength to make things happen, or this the good luck to make things happen has abandoned me, and you start feeling like a failure. You feel confused, or you don't feel motivated, all those things. And people that are used to a lot of success, they kind of might feel a bit down, or they might feel a bit lost. Don't beat yourself up. This is a natural cycle. You need this period while the moon is before the sun, the previous 2 years before progress new moon, to kind of conclude things, to wrap things up, to take a break, to go within. It's, as you know, also every time there is a new moon, astrologically every month, we as astrologers advise everyone meditate during those 2 3 days. Take it easy. Don't try to start new things while the moon is invisible. New ideas will come to you. Keep them in your head, but you start manifesting them when the moon becomes visible. And that happens about 1.5 year after, or 1.5 year approximately after the sun conjunct moon in the progress chart. But the new circumstances start appearing around the conjunction a year before or after, and then they start giving results maybe up to 2 years after that. And the next time there will be a new moon for you will be 28 years later in the progress chart. So that's a very rare thing. Maybe we have it twice in our life if we're lucky to live till 90, maybe 3 times in our life, and every time I've seen it, powerful new beginnings, is especially in regards to what house this new moon is happening in your horoscope. And as you saw, it was happening in my fourth house of place of living, and third house. I always use 2 house systems. I don't want to miss anything. Okay, and if you want to find out, to learn the house systems, I'm doing a 6-month course this year, 2018. You can jump on it and watch it 2019 as well, but it's going to be like 60-hour course, 6 months, every 2 weeks. So check out my website for more details. I'll put it in April. Anyone who wants to study with me about the houses, in-depth foundational astrology. Okay, and so that's the first thing that's very important to watch. And not to beat yourself up if you're in that period before the new moon, because we can feel a bit emptied. It's hard to manifest when the moon is invisible, because the moon rules all material things and growth. And when it's decreasing and becoming smaller and invisible, we can't grow things so easily. Sometimes it's a period of retreating from the world a little bit. Not in all cases, there are exceptions, but for example, my husband is in this period now. He has another 2 years, and he's like, I want to do some business, but I don't know what. And he can't come up with an idea. And I told him, babes, don't worry. We're focusing on the family now. You're in this period of your life when it's not time for new beginnings yet. Well, he's having a lot of other new beginnings, family and whatnot, but because his conjunction will be in the 10th house of career, and he's already starting to feel it a year and a half, 2 years before, and he's like, I want to do something with career, but what is it? And I'm like, don't worry, in 2 years it's going to become clear. So I'm not, and if you're, so you're not going to push your partner to do something that is not naturally being incubated in them now. So we have phases as well. You can't ask someone to be constantly active or constantly successful or something like that. So anyway, let's see. And also, if you can follow and see when the progress moon will be opposite exactly the progress sun, that would be the opposition, the full moon. That would be some kind of a peak experience when you're reaping the rewards of those new beginnings that you started 14 years ago. For me, this happened in 2010. Let me show you how it looks. And it's not exactly a new beginning, it's some culmination of results. So going back to chart selection, let me show you how the full moon looks. Happened in 2016 for me. The progress chart, and you will see how the moon is exactly opposite the sun. Here is the progress sun, and here is the progress moon in the year 2016. So they're exactly opposite each other. Progress moon is at 27 degrees, progress sun is at 27 degrees Taurus, moon in Scorpio. So they have to be opposite each other. This is when there was a culmination and my business grew a lot. And it's happening on the 10th house cusp. So definitely that's when my reputation took off and my career really took off. So powerful new beginning, but it's kind of as a result of what you started in the previous 14 years, sometime in the previous 14 years. And I started doing astrology when progress moon was with progress sun. Within 1 year of me relocating to the UK, I found astrology, and the moon was still in this phase of new beginnings. Remember here that I showed you? And it culminated, so it gave its results 14 years later, approximately 2010. No, 9 years later. No, so 2016, sorry, 14 years later, yes. So that's when I started studying astrology, new beginnings, moon with sun, when it culminated and gave me reputation and stability, moon opposition sun. So you see results with the full moon, progress full moon. Only look at the green ones. Okay, let's see the next technique. Let's go back to chart selection. The next technique I want to show, it's again with progress chart. But it involves planets going, but it involves basically planets, the change of sign of your ascendant or your sun or moon. The moon changes signs every 2.5 years, so small new beginnings of some sort happen. Let me show you here. For me, it happened around June, July. Progress moon change signs. It takes 2.5 years for a moon to change signs. For the past 2.5 years, the moon was transiting through Scorpio, and you see here around July or June, a month earlier, progress moon entered in Sagittarius, and still in Sagittarius, which means that for 2.5 years you feel emotionally like your moon is in Sagittarius. So there is a little new beginning that is on the emotional level. While the moon was in Scorpio, if you know some astrology, you know that this is the most difficult position for the moon. So when you have progress moon in Scorpio, you might feel a bit like doom and gloom. You might be more susceptible to negative feelings, to deep introspection, to bit depressive modes, to overpowering emotional experiences. And I was, to be honest, in a low level depression somehow. It was very intense. The day the moon moved from Scorpio into Sagittarius, everything changed emotionally. Sagittarius is an uplifted, positive sign. Of course, my whole life circumstances changed as well because I met my current husband. So it's accompanied by some outer experience in most cases, but I just felt liberated and free. While the moon is in Scorpio, it felt like I was going through some kind of dark night of the soul. The moment it went to Sagittarius, uplifted, positive, I moved to a different country. Sagittarius moves foreign countries, moon rules place of living. So the moment it moved here, I felt so much more uplifted and positive. I came out of a long time depression, positive, optimistic Sagittarius. I started teaching Sagittarius about teaching. My moods became better. And I relocated to a foreign country again, you see, Sagittarius. And when the moon changes signs, people can relocate sometimes because the moon is your environment that you live in, place of living. When it changes signs every 2.5 years or 2 years and something, there might be big change in the circumstances around you that affect directly your emotions. But these are small new beginnings when the moon changes signs. The big new beginnings is when the sun changes signs in the progress chart. Look at that here. The sun is currently, well, not currently, that's the year 2016. I'm just going to put it to this year. And you have to experiment with different years. Click ahead to see when the moon will change signs. Astrology software programs show you this directly. But look at that. Now my sun is, and I put it for July 2018, not for the current period, but progress sun, it shows here, it's at 0 degrees, it's just entered Sagittarius. So the year 2000, not Sagittarius, Gemini. The year 2018, my progress sun changes signs. It's still in Taurus at the current period, but you start feeling the change that year. And within 2 months, it will move into Sagittarius. And the sun takes 30 years to pass through one sign in progressions. So in the past 30 years, I was learning the lessons of Taurus, to be settled, to learn to take it easy, to be more patient, to build something stable long term. And being an Aries sun by birth, this made me so impatient. But it taught me the lessons of patience and of manifesting on a material level. And I cared a lot about material achievements for the past 30 years. It was something I needed, material security, which is what progress through Taurus for 30 years wants to teach you. But it might feel a little bit like having your brakes on when your sun is in Aries by birth. So this year, progress sun is changing sign for me. It's moving into Gemini, which is much more, it's another male, fast-moving sign, just like Aries. So it's going to be much more aligned to my nature. There'll be a lot of hectic activity for the next 30 years, a lot of activities. And the sun naturally indicates one's career because the sun is our goals, our ideals. So when it changes signs, progress signs, look at here. Progression. So you need to see when the sun moves to 0 degrees of some sign and what the sign is. You can predict with 100% accuracy that from this year, whoever is having progress sun changing signs is going to see a lot of developments in regards in their life, that circumstances that change, that resonate with the sign that the sun is moving into. For me, it's Gemini, and it's happening in the 4th house, so relocation, there's change, relocation. The 4th house is family, home. Entering a sign in the 4th house, Gemini. Gemini rules, if you took my course of the 12 signs, you'll know that Gemini rules to have 2 of something, double. So I can have 2 homes, maybe live half time in the States, half time in another country. This is exactly what our plans are. So basically, It's gonna, especially in regards to my family and personal life, because the sun is in the fourth house, it's gonna have a lot more dynamism. Not so much stability, no longer in Taurus, but much more dynamism with Gemini, maybe moving and traveling a lot, living in more than one places. Gemini rules that. Plus a lot of activities. Gemini is busy, busy, busy. Plus my career will go a lot more into tutoring, teaching, traveling, doing face-to-face workshops. Gemini rules workshops where you're teaching skills, where you're teaching others. So my career is changing. You see that it's happening, and a lot more media presence. Gemini rules media, business. So you see, for example, if your sun is progressing from Leo into Virgo, you'll see that this year a big new beginning can happen for you that will impact you for 30 years. All of a sudden, you can change career. That your career is much more specialist, narrow focus, for example, that you retreat from the uh, stage of Leo and you go a little bit behind the scenes of Virgo, that you become more helpful, more perfectionist, focused on, for example, on perfecting your skills, or you can be opposite. You can be moving, your progression might be moving from Virgo into Libra, and you might notice that all of a sudden you become much more social, relationship take a primary focus for you, that your career starts depending on the approval of others, Libra, on some partnership that can uplift it, can appear, that is basically can totally transform your vision for your life. So each sign carries its different significators and can change your life when the sun progresses there that year in a totally different way. Or say your progress sun is moving from Sagittarius to Capricorn. For example, you've been carefree for the past years, traveling, just having fun. And then the sun moves into Capricorn, you become very serious about your career and you start, you know, looking for some corporate job even, or doing things the proper way, the way your parents did it. So you see, it's amazing. And if you don't know what each sign means, you can again check out my class, signs, the 12 signs of astrology. It's 60 hours of undiluted. Okay, so progress and changing sign. Progress moon every 2.5 years is not such a big change. Emotionally, you can feel a change. Progress ascendant changing sign. That's a big one. The ascendant is your physical appearance, your whole body, physically where you're situated. So sun, moon, or ascendant, but especially sun and ascendant. Let me share again my screen. And um, again, my personal experience, because I don't want to speak about charts of clients, because I like using personal experience. Look at that. My progress. Okay, let me go back. Oops, that's wrong. My progress ascendant has moved, according to this chart, about 2 years ago at Aries. For the past 15 years, it was in Pisces. You see where the progress ascendant is here. Progress ascendant 5 degrees. Let me see when exactly it happened. I just have to, I think 2015 approximately. You have to experiment with the years to see when you see progress ascendant 0 degree Aries, exactly around 2015. I'll tell you what happened around that time, because the ascendant is your physical appearance. The moment it moves from one sign to another, your whole physical energy and appearance starts changing, and the circumstances around you. So I started, because my ascendant was in Pisces for many years, I could easily put on weight. It was much more easy for me because Pisces is a sign that expands, is ruled by Jupiter. A person is more lazier physically, doesn't have as much energy. Pisces is a sign of sleeping, as I explained in the 12 sign course. And the moment it moved into Aries, I started having a lot of energy, became a bit of a go, 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 work nonstop, because Aries is very energetic. And I started losing weight without trying. My appetite disappeared. And people even asked me why in the pregnancy I didn't put on weight. I put on weight like 5 kilos or 10 pounds with each pregnancy. Well, because my progress ascendant moved into Aries. If I was pregnant when my ascendant was in Pisces, I was probably going to pile up on the pounds. Because Pisces is without protection. It needs to get protected. It's more vulnerable, sensitive. But the ascendant, the physical body, entered into Aries, and I became much more physically active and energized and excitable and athletic. I'm not going out and working out every day, but it's just I don't need to. My appetite decreases and muscles definition comes out. So it might be the opposite. If you say if your ascendant is progressing from Aries to Taurus, all of a sudden you might start becoming more feminine, more rounded shapes, enjoy more good food, start buying expensive clothes. I started buying for the past 2 3 years only sporty clothes. I've never worn sport clothes. I worn frilly dresses, glamorous clothes like Pisces. A lot of glamorous, very model-like clothes, and all of a sudden I'm just like in sneakers and in sporty clothes, and I love tight trousers, more masculine kind of stuff. And I find attractive, the ascendant is also physical appearance. I find attractive women in combat outfits, or high stilettos and leather, tights or something like that, more kind of sexualized. So you need when your ascendant progress, but your ascendant shows also your whole life and the circumstances in your life. So when it changes a new sign, and your time of birth needs to be very correct for that. If it's 4 minutes off, it might be 2 years difference that your ascendant changes sign in. It might be a year or something. And my career, the MC also changed that year. So the career took a new change. It became from Sagittarius into because the MC rules one's career. The moment it entered Capricorn for me, my career became more structured. It became hierarchy a little bit, no matter how before that was happy-go-lucky Sagittarius, all about giving knowledge. Then it became about structure. People started calling me money grabbing bitch. Of course, I'm kidding. That's not true, but I just wanted to organize the business because now I'm responsible for more people and you want to be organized rather than just let everything fly off like Sagittarius, allow things with your career. So you see pivotal years when you're ascendant, and they don't always change sign together. Your midheaven, which is MC, can change sign very different time. Just in my life, it happened around that time, at the same time. So my life started changing in a big way. So look for ascendant, midheaven, sun, progression, changing signs, big new changes in your life, in your environment, in uh, exactly how, in regards to the signs that they're changing. And that can be for something very good. For example, if your midheaven is changing sign from Cancer into Leo, and you want to be famous for something, or you've been working very hard, and then midheaven, which is your career, goes into Leo, all of a sudden you get recognized and noticed because Leo is a sign of fame and being noticed and taking central positions. It's something to do with your career, or you've always wanted to be a performer of some sort, but you didn't have a breakthrough, and your midheaven changes signs into Leo. Well, now you can have a breakthrough in some career where you perform or where you're in center stage. All of a sudden you can find yourself that your career changes in a way that you're no longer in some protective role in Cancer, where it was, but you're all of a sudden in some paternal role in Leo, that you're in the executive person who takes decisions, the executive person who creates their own business. Leo is to create your own business, to do something from scratch. So your career, or you get some high executive position all of a sudden, or more freedom to do what you want, because Leo is that. Or if your career sign changes from Capricorn into Aquarius, all of a sudden you can find yourself from being, so if the MC is here, 29 degrees Capricorn, and you see that 2009 is going to move into Aquarius and your time of birth is very correct, you can know for certain that if you've been working in a corporate environment or very strictly regimented environment of some sort, while the midheaven, your career, was here, the moment it enters Aquarius, within a year or two of that period, you might become a freelancer. Aquarius is about freedom, is about deregulating something, is about freelancing, it's about, or you might start working with technology, or you might move from a dinosaur company, say, very structured hierarchical company to that is established Capricorn way, to a company that is more lateral, not higher hierarchy, but lateral, more modern company like Google or Facebook, that is more like free and cool, which is what Aquarius is. Anyway, if all those things for you to know. the 12 signs course you can check out. I'll put link for it because I speak about each sign in depth, what it represents there. Okay, so let's recapitulate. New progress moon in your progress chart is one way to see powerful new beginnings. Sun or ascendant in progress chart changing signs is another way to see powerful new beginnings. Also progress moon emotionally. Also progress planets joining an angle. Let's share screen again. That's a little bit more complex, but I needed to mention it. So you see how from the moment I was born till now, my son has moved here. So 36 years, it's 30, that's the year 2015 that I'm showing you. But it's moved only from here to here. And the moment this progress sun goes exactly at the IC, 28 degrees, and the year 2015, it was 27 degrees, um, something really important will happen. When a progress planet moves to an angle, and these are the angles, these are the angles, is the backbone of the horoscope, the ascendant, midheaven, IC, DC. This is descendant where the planets are setting. This is the eastern horizon. This is the western horizon. This is the highest point above your head. This is the lowest point below your feet. This is the backbone of your life. It represents when a planet progresses and joins exactly one of those angles. This is the planet brings its vibration into your life and it manifests into your life. And you have to see that here is the year. Back to chart selection. The year 2017 is when the sun exactly joined. You see, a little bit earlier because it's set for July 2017. But in January 2017, the year is approximate. We're not going to try to predict to the minute, and to the day. Because you need to have a very correct time of birth as well with this technique. You only apply this technique and it's only going to be correct if your time of birth is correct within 4 minutes. Every 4 minutes, if the time is off, say if you're not born at 5:25 but you're born at 5:29, this event will happen 1 year later than what it's showing. So you see, this progress then joins the IC, which is an angle here for me, at my what year? Like 2017, my 36th year. And the sun in my horoscope is the seventh house, marriage. This is the year I got married. I got married before that as well. When there were other planets passing here on the IC. But this was the most important marriage because this is the marriage that brought me children. And I got married when Venus was here. Years before that, I also got married and another time. But there are lots of new beginnings for some people, and my chart is one of those. But you see exactly when the ruler of the seventh house, and I'm going to be speaking about rulerships and house in my new webinar, the 12 houses, one every 2 weeks, one house, and ruler of houses and what it means, which will start in May 2018. So check this out. But just mentioning that the sun, progress sun, uh, in my case, it brought a marriage, conjoining an angle, and started a family. 2017 is when I had a family, when I had a child. The fourth house is the house. The IC is the cusp of children, but it also brought a marriage the same year because the sun rules the fourth house cusp. So seeing any planet coming on an angle will bring the energy of the houses it rules and what it naturally signifies into your life to manifest powerful new beginning. When progress Mars comes here, I might have to be careful that there's not some fire in my house or some damage to my house. Or it might mean that I bring my business, because Mars rules the 10th house, into my house, or that I create or maybe start some business that is connected to property, or that maybe I welcome people in my house in regards to to my business. So they can be different manifestations, but my house can also burn down because Mars is a fire house. Or I have to be careful for operations and stuff like that. So there are different ways to read that. You need to take more specific classes for that to show you how it can manifest. But if you see a planet coming to an angle here or here or here, those angles, whatever the planet signifies, it will bring into your life. In my horoscope, the sun is marriage, ruler of the seventh house. Uh, and Or if it was Venus, it can bring marriage and love. Say Venus transiting your progress Venus on your ascendant, or progress Venus on your 10th house cast can also bring marriage, or it can bring great career, positive development of some sort. Okay, so let's go back, and I'll give you the last technique that is very important, that always brings some important event. But now we need to choose another chart. I want us to go to solar return charts. Choose this here, solar return charts. This is the chart that how the planets are situated on your birthday. Exactly. Now I want to show you something. The year 2010. When there is a new moon on your birthday, solar return chart is your birthday. For each year, you can generate a chart that shows you how the planets are on your birthday, because they will influence you for the next whole year till your next birthday. And I want you to find the year during which the sun and moon are together, which means that exactly on your birthday there is a new moon. So for me, I found that it was the year 2010. Click here to show chart. You see, this is the chart of the planets the way they were exactly on my birthday, 2000 and 2010 to 2011. That was the year I started my business. Again, it's a new moon, new beginning. We're talking about new beginnings here. You see how the moon and the sun are joined in that solar return chart. That indicates powerful new beginning in one's life. They're in the third sign from ascendant. I'm using Holstein house system, which means powerful new beginning in regards to commercial business activities. Third house rules that. A powerful new beginnings in regards to something to do with relocation. I also relocated that year. And powerful new beginnings in regards to do with media, marketing, advertising, teaching. Well, I started astrology business, which is about, I started doing videos on YouTube, and my business happened. Before that, I had no career, no business. So that was the most, probably one of the most important years in my life, as a new beginning. With the new moon on my birthday, sun and moon, you want them within 10, 12 degrees. It indicates that you're born. That year is a new moon for you. So it wasn't easy. New moon years are not always easy, but they indicate powerful new beginnings in regards to the house they're in. And if you're using Placidus house system, they're in the second house system. So you can interpret it as powerful new beginnings in regards to creating security for many years ahead in your life. Well, starting your business is creating a security, which this time paid off. I tried for years before that to start business career. It didn't work out. Okay, so these are the techniques that almost always work. These are the very powerful techniques that are very easy. So click ahead, past years or future years, when you're gonna see sun and moon together in the solar return chart, you know something of huge importance, and a new beginning will start. And I want to also show you that there is another thing to look. It doesn't always manifest new beginnings, but it's the transits charts. And here is my transit chart for the time I relocated in the UK. And you'll see that that year I also had a progress new moon. So that definitely shows the new beginning. But when you have these are transits now, you have to go to natal charts with transit. I hope you saw what I did. You see, we want to look at Saturn and Jupiter. These are the glyphs for Saturn and Jupiter. Now the greens represent transits, not progressions, because I changed to transit chart. So the year 2001, I had Saturn and Jupiter transiting an angle, the fourth house. So I relocated. It was combined with new progress moon, so definitely fated event. But when you see Saturn or Jupiter, that they're going to move over one of your angles, and it's not going to be exactly on the day they're moving over the angle. It might be even a few months before, a few months after. But Jupiter and Saturn are the executors of fate. So transits to the angles, which is the ascendant, the IC, the fourth house cast, the DC, the descendant, the seventh house cast, or the MC, the 10th house cast. This is when life turning events happen, because the fated events are brought through the two planets of fate, Saturn and Jupiter. For me, it happened in the fourth house cast, relocation, new place of living. You see, when Saturn transited my midheaven, which happened 14 years later, I struck, and it corresponded exactly with The MC changing signs from Sagittarius to Capricorn, so very similar energy. Capricorn is the sign of Saturn. Structuring of the business, streamlining the business, big changes in the business happen for me. So and especially if you have both Saturn and Jupiter transiting an angle, this year will be an year that changes your fate. And oftentimes you might have them one transiting an angle here, not oftentimes, but sometimes you might have them Saturn transiting here in that area, while Jupiter transits on another angle. They don't always have to be on the same angle. But when you see such a year, when Saturn will be in the vicinity of one of those cusps, those dark lines, and Jupiter will be in the vicinity of another dark line, oh my God, the wheel of fortune is spinning. You're changing in a big way. For example, Saturn transiting here and Jupiter was here for me, I got married. Let me show you. Saturn transiting the 10th house cusp and Jupiter was exactly on the 7th house cusp. 7th house is marriage, relationship. I got married. That was previous marriage. Saturn transiting here, changing of social status. So big change of faith you know um, People have the most powerful new beginnings when Saturn or Jupiter transit the ascendant, because that's the most pivotal and important point in one's horoscope. So when it comes to transits, I would say that the ascendant and the midheaven are most important, but you see all the two other angles also manifest powerfully. So the most powerful new beginning, Saturn transiting ascendant, which happens once every 29 years. For me, it happened when I changed school. I got accepted to a new school. I was 14. Huge change for me, to a really high level school that I studied English, and it defined my next 29 years, because being able to learn English was opened the door for international travel and living in a foreign country for me, that I'm still reaping. And very soon Saturn will be conjunct my ascendant again. This is, let me show you here. You can just click ahead till you see the symbol of Saturn to be very close. For me, it's the year 2020. Well, a little bit later in 2020. Sorry. 2020, I would say September. Yeah, 2021, sorry. Look at the astrologer who doesn't know her. There you go. 2021, a powerful new beginning in my life, both Saturn and Jupiter. This is the symbol of Saturn. This is the symbol of Jupiter. Look only at those. Don't look at the other. Saturn and Jupiter transiting ascendant. Um, a bit earlier, maybe basically the end of 2020, the beginning of 2021. You can start a new business. You can relocate to a new country. You can, depending on Saturn and Jupiter rule. For me, they rule the 11th and 12th, so they can bring to me 12 houses far away countries, relocations, also loss of some sort, ending something. 11th house is a new economic gain. But generally, when you see, you don't have to know so much in depth. You need to know the house systems, which I'll be teaching this year. But if you don't know it, just when you see Saturn and Jupiter anywhere close to these dark lines with transits, both at the same time, or even just Saturn can also bring you powerful new beginnings without Jupiter. Uh, for example, someone can have Jupiter transiting the seventh house, divorce, powerful new beginning. Saturn, Jupiter transiting the seventh house, marriage, powerful new beginning. Saturn transiting the ascendant, someone can pass through your family. Saturn's new beginnings are a bit more painful. They require extra responsibility and duty, or confronting the limitations in one's life and having to work extra hard for something. So Saturn's new beginnings, when it transits in one of those angles, sometimes might be forced on us, or might feel more painful, might make us feel like we have to work much harder than other times and get out of our comfort zone. We don't feel so comfortable with Saturn's new beginnings, but they're a long time overdue, and it allows us to build new foundations in life. Sometimes, unfortunately, with Saturn transit one of the angles, a parent can pass, or there might be some painful separations as well. Does not necessarily death, but some painful separations. Like for me, when Saturn passed here, I had to separate with my parents, and the comfort of my home, it wasn't easy at all, and to go to a new country with even no working visa. And you see, when you see Saturn, especially if you see Saturn and Jupiter both close to angles, you know that this is a new beginning in your life. So, guys, I know I gave you a lot of information. I know it might be overwhelming, but go over it a few times. And if you want to chart. Marinas love it, the prices are higher, but it's very experienced. So, and of course, you can have a reading with me. You can be slower and longer. So sometimes to complete a reading, and my price is very high. I can afford myself that. And who knows? I might not be astrologer in 2 years, in three. When Saturn transit over my ascendant, I might decide to be something else. Even though astrology is always going to be my love, but some new beginning is coming there. And I know what it is, but I'm not going to say. But anyway, thank you so much. I hope I gave you an insight into my life as well, but I wanted to use something that I personally have experienced, so you see how amazingly those techniques work. And that's a free lesson for you guys. Probably others would sell it to you for $30, $40. And I wanted to show you some of the best and the easiest techniques to show you new powerful new beginnings. And please do share with us parts of your life and stories. What happened, for example, when there was a progress new moon, or what happened when progress and change signs in your life, or what happened when Saturn transit an angle, or when Jupiter transited an angle. And usually Jupiter's new beginnings are more positive and easier, but even sometimes they can be painful. For example, when I divorced from my husband, previous husband, he had Jupiter transiting his ascendant, and it felt very painful for him. But that was the best thing that ever happened to him because he met a much better partner after that immediately, because that's Jupiter wants to liberate you from something that's not for you and actually gives you way better choices. So even Jupiter can bring powerful new beginnings when it transits an angle. And even if they always new beginnings can feel a bit stressful with Jupiter, they bring you something so much better. They bring you something that you feel so much happier with later on. So anyway, thank you so much for sharing and listening to this. And hopefully you learned something and share your stories to what happened to you when any of those changes happen. And if you want to learn astrology with me, check out my classes. I'm much more in detail when I teach privately. So, yeah, thank you guys. I love you all. I'll see you soon with another interesting lesson.